Hi there, I'm Lisa Taylor. Thank you so much for joining me. I have been thinking a lot about the Bible story about when Jesus runs into the woman who's been bound for 18 years and could in no wise lift up herself. And I was very curious when I was reading that the other day that the first thing Jesus does is he calls her to him. Now, you think about that. If you saw somebody who'd been bound for 18 years, that's a long time, and couldn't lift themselves up, would you ask them to get up and come over to you? Like, what's behind that? He's calling her to him. Number one, he doesn't see her as bound, right? He doesn't see her as physically impaired in some way. He's calling forth in her what he sees in her, and he sees the perfect child of God. He sees the divine manifestation. So he's calling that forth in her and expects her to get up off the ground and walk toward him. Come toward the Christ. Come toward Christ consciousness. Move in your thought from being bound by limiting beliefs to being free from limiting beliefs. Now, what if, let's modernize it a little bit. What if you know someone who's been bound by bipolar disorder for 18 years, or ADD, or ADHD, or depression, or a sense of lack and loss, a sense of loneliness, a sense of self-doubt or low self-esteem? If they've been bound by those false limiting beliefs, no matter how long they've been bound by them, the Christ, truth, can call forth in us or in them the divine idea, the divine nature of man. Are we, when we succumb to limiting beliefs about ourselves, are we calling forth in ourselves in that moment our best self, our divine self? Are we calling that forth? Are we demanding that of ourselves? Just the way Jesus did of the woman who'd been bound for 18 years. Are we calling forth the best in ourselves, and are we calling forth the best in others? Are we calling forth the divine idea? So the woman gets up, comes over to Jesus, ostensibly, right? And he lays his hands on her. Now, I'm sure there are all sorts of Bible interpretations. So this is just me. I'm not an expert in this at all, but I'm just saying what kind of comes through to me when I think about this. He's laying it on her, right? He's laying the truth on her. He's saying, this is who you are. And he's allowing her to stand in the place of her divinity. So the Christ is that thing. It's that like connective tissue that connects us where we are in thought in this moment to where we are in the absolute sense of things in divine consciousness. And it makes that connection for us. So no matter where we are in thought, no matter how negatively we view ourselves or view someone else, the Christ meets us where we are and lifts us higher and lifts us into that place of consciousness that is healing and is aligned with God. So the next time you see someone bound for any length of time, 5 minutes, 50 years, bound by limiting beliefs and could in no wise lift up themselves, let's see them rightly. Let's see their true identity and call that forth in them. Let's make the space for people to show up as their best selves. Let's hold space for them. Let's make it easy for them to do that. You know, a lot of times when somebody shows up in a really negative way or they're being governed by their limiting beliefs, we get frustrated, we get ticked off, we get triggered, and we do something that isn't holding the space for them to show up as their best self. We're actually contributing to them showing up and repeating the pattern by expecting that of them or reacting to that in them, right? So it's our job to see them rightly and hold the space. Hold the space that makes it easy for someone to call forth that in themselves. When Jesus called forth the woman, he called her to him. He was seeing her rightly and making it available to her to stand on her divine identity and come forth in that way. Anyway, I'm challenging myself to do that because it comes down to very subtle shifts in thought and very subtle choices that we make or don't make. And I'm challenging myself to really call that forth in myself, call that forth in the people around me, and make the space for people to show up as their best selves, as their divine identity. And that can be really healing. So that's my note. Thank you so much for joining. And if you like these ideas, feel free to share and, spread the word around. So thanks for joining. Lots of love, you guys. Bye.